vlog time. Time to discuss all the books that I've been reading in the past week. And you guys, oh my gosh, I read more books this week than I think I've ever read in a single week. And I honestly don't know how it happened because one of those books was so close to being a tome. I have so much to say to you all, and I've heard the feedback. Thank you. I appreciate it. Some of you have come back to me and said that you do prefer the shorter durations with reading vlogs. So I'm going to try and keep it as brief as I possibly can. I have so much to say, so many books to talk about, and in trying to keep it as short as I can, let's jump right on in. So today is Saturday, the 19th of November here in Melbourne, Australia. And the last time that we checked in, just checking, was on the 12th of November. So this reading vlog is going to cover from the 13th to the 19th of November. I'm just going to warn you that I've been having major issues with my ring light. I charge it, it takes hours to charge, and then when it's finally charged and I can use it, yay, it seems to last like 10 minutes, and I haven't had it that long either, so I may just have to replace it. If it turns off and the lighting gets a bit, well, it just turned off. The irony! The lighting does, however, seem to not be that affected. So that's a good thing. Let's keep going. Alright, so firstly, I need to talk DNFing because I have not DNF'd in a while, but I DNF'd a book this week, and I'm sure I'm going to break some hearts with this one, so I do apologise, but you know, not every book is going to be for everyone, and this one just definitely wasn't for me for many reasons. I'll quickly show you the physical book, and then we'll pop the book up on the screen. Okay, it is this book, which is Books Can Be Deceiving by Jen McKinley, book number 1 in the Library Lovers series. Let's put it up on the screen. Okay, so yeah, I started reading this book. It's not the first book that I picked up this week, but it was the only one I DNF'd, so let's discuss this first. I started reading this book, and I was very excited going into it. I had known of this series for a little while now, and just hadn't gotten to it yet because it wasn't on my SAS list, which, by the way, some of you have been asking what a SAS list is. I'm more than happy to explain it. A SAS list, spelled S-A-S, stands for Serious About Series. This came, Elizabeth from Lizzie Faye Loves Books actually came up with this concept where you put a number of book series onto a list that you either want to start, continue on with, or finish by the end of the year. So it's like kind of a series goal type list, if you will. And I created my first ever SAS list this year, and I've loved it because it has done so much for me. So there you go. Yeah, Library Lovers was not on my SAS list this year, but I received the physical copy of the book. I think it's a birthday present, and I really appreciate that. Thank you to whoever sent that to me. And yeah, finally decided to pick it up, set it at a library. I don't need to know more. I love books. Sounds like the thing for me. And it just wasn't. To me, the tone was incredibly dry. I found myself to be, and again, I'm just giving you my, there's a fine line to walk between giving you my own personal opinion and not trying to offend anyone. So for me, I much rather err on the side of being as transparent as I can be. Everyone has their own opinion, and there are people who love this series, and I think that's absolutely wonderful. But one thing I personally don't like when people review books is when they say, I didn't like this, and they don't say why. So I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to be bold. I'm going to be transparent. You know that about me if you've been here long enough, and if you haven't, hi, my name is Mr. Francy. I'm transparent. So I'm going to give you my opinion. I found the first 2 chapters to be incredibly boring, honestly. They were discussing, so we follow, what's her name again? Lindsay. We follow Lindsay, and she is a librarian. She is hosting this, weekly, I don't know if it's like a crafting and book club type deal, I don't know. And they're talking about their current read, which is Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. I've read that book. I love that book. And so I thought that would intrigue me. I feel like that was the only thing that intrigued me in the first 2 chapters. Then we come across this guy who's standing on his head, and that just felt weird to me. If it was done in a fun type of way, then maybe I would enjoy it, but it came across as really serious, and the tone, again, just didn't work for me. But then we get into the third chapter. Anyone who is triggered by, narcissistic, controlling type people, please do be warned. This comes up in the third chapter. This is a trigger for me. And this is what, in the end, had me DNFing the book. In the first chapter, I thought, by the time I got to the end of the first chapter, I thought I'll give it to the halfway mark and then decide if I want DNF, because I was so bored, like, throughout the first chapter. And then after the second chapter, I thought, no, that's it. I'm going to DNF after the first quarter if I don't like it. By the time I got to the end of the third chapter, I had to DNF. So Lindsay has a friend, and that friend is in a relationship with a guy who is extremely narcissistic and extremely controlling, and all of those bad things, you know, yeah, physically, verbally, psychologically, just damaging to Lindsay's friend. And I've had past relationships that have been like that, so they are extremely that kind of stuff is just very triggering for me, and that sealed the deal. So based on all of those reasons, not just chapter 3, but all of those reasons together, the book just wasn't for me. And the last couple of months, I've come across some 4 or 5 star reads predominantly with my reading, and so why waste my time with a book that I'm not enjoying, let alone that triggers me, but I wasn't enjoying anyway. So I DNF'd that book and won't be continuing on with the series. So it is what it is. I'm sorry if you all were looking forward to me reading it, but there you go. Alright, I spent a long time on that. I'm going to try and keep this a little more brief. Let's move on to the second book that I'm going to discuss, and the first book that I completed in this past week, and that was this book, Proof is in the Potion by Samantha Silver. So this is book number 7 in the Spelford Cove mystery series, and I have loved the Spelford Cove series up to this point. A massive shout out to Jessica from Lady Lovestead Reads, who was showing the first book in this series, The Witching Flower, on her channel last year in June, and I had never heard of Cozy Mysteries before, let alone this series, and then The Witching Flower, first book in this series, became the first cozy mystery that I ever read, and I fell in love with it, and ultimately fell in love with cozies. So there you go. However, prior to book number 7, I felt like we had just ended an arc. So books 1 to 6 in the Spelford Cove series seem to cover one arc of the series, and then book 7 starts a completely new arc. And the reason I say this is because in books 1 to 6, we seem to be leading up to an ultimate battle. That ultimate battle takes place in book 6, and then we kind of reset and continue moving forward post the battle in book 7. And this new thing that has come about by the end of book 6 continues on into book 7 and beyond. So, in this series we are following Robin. Robin is a kitchen witch, which means she has the ability to inject the ingredients that she is using to cook with her magic to positively affect the customers that she has that comes to her store. And being Cozy Mystery, it's more like she affects them with love and things like that she puts into her cooking. Anyway, in this particular one, there are a string of deaths that have occurred. The first one occurred at a park where her cousin Elsa works, and the second one occurred right outside of her store. Both of them have the murder weapon in common. Both victims were killed with a bow and arrow. Robin is flatly refusing to get involved now that this big battle that took place in book 6 has occurred. She is content to lead a normal life. Well, she seems content to do this. That is until her ghost friend Vanessa lets her know that the guy who killed her, so Vanessa was killed about 30 or so years prior to the book series beginning. She was pushed off a cliff, and no one ever found her killer. Her killer was never brought to justice. So Robin is the only witch that can see Vanessa, and Vanessa has been conversing with Robin off and on throughout the course of the series from book 1. And in this one, the guy who killed her, whose name is Joe, is dead. Joe was not killed with a bow and arrow, and this makes Robin want to solve the murder because she feels that if she can find who Joe's killer is, then Vanessa will finally be able to move on to what's awaiting her after her death, after having to linger around in limbo all this time. So, yeah, she goes ahead and with the help of her cousins Elsa and Emma, they work to try and determine who the killer is. Look, I thought it was okay. I gave it 4 stars. I love the cozy side of this series. I've definitely grown to love the characters. I love the world of Spelford Cove, so the setting. And yeah, I enjoy all of that. I love, Robin's familiar, who is a talking cat by the name of William Shakespeare, whose favourite pastime is reading, but I did not enjoy the mystery side that much, to be honest. And then something happens at the end of the book that kind of upset me. I won't say what it is here because it's a spoiler, but I did leave it under a spoiler tag in my Goodreads review, so feel free to go over there and check it out. So 4 stars from me for this one. Book 8 is going to be coming out this coming week, or yeah, it should be out this week by the time you're watching it. So it'll be interesting to see if the audiobook comes out really soon, because if it does, then I'll also listen to book 8 before the end of the year and then be completely up to date with the series. So the next book that I read was this book, which is Beauty Expos Are Murder. This is book number I just had a moment ago. This is book number 6 in the Poppy McAllister mystery series, and I gave this book 4.5 stars. So we have an interesting situation with book number 6, because in the previous book, book 5, which is Wine Tastings Are Murder, book 5 left off on a massive, and I mean for a cozy mystery series, a massive cliffhanger. But what I love with book number 6 is that we open up addressing the cliffhanger right away. I've read other series in other genres where we leave off with one of the books in the series on being ending on a massive cliffhanger, and then it takes till 3/4 of the way through the subsequent book to find out what's going on and for it to be addressed. But in this case, a great job by Libby Klein, because she addresses it right away, and we resolve that cliffhanger pretty early on, which I did appreciate. On to the mystery. This time Poppy is invited to go to a beauty expo that is going to happen with some famous doctor who has at one point in time been on Good Morning America. I'm sorry. I just found it hilarious that they're saying this doctor is extremely famous because he appeared on one episode of Good Morning America. One. Just one. And that makes him extremely famous. But anyway, letting that go. So Poppy goes there to sell her baked goods, and while she is there, things go down. She meets the doctor, and the first thing the doctor tells her is, why, yes, I think you could do with some liposuction. So he's a charming guy, clearly. Well, he ends up dying, and there are multiple reasons as to why he could have died and who killed him. So Poppy ends up trying to investigate who did kill him. In the meantime, there is another mystery that we are dealing with. Detective Amber has been a constant feature in this series right from the first book. Amber and Poppy used to go to high school together. They never liked each other, and well, they've gotten to know each other a lot more as adults, because with Amber being the local detective and Poppy finding herself involved in a ton of murders, being that she's the protagonist of the series and murders happen in every single book in the series, they've gotten a little bit more close. In the previous book, book 5, Amber asked Poppy to become an informal informant for her, and in this book, Amber is being set up for a murder. So a guy that she was keeping an eye on, who was, you know, a kid who had gotten himself into some trouble but was trying to get back on the straight and narrow, ends up dying, and it seems that Amber is being framed for it, so she's asked Poppy to help her out to clear her name, so Poppy does what she can to do that. I thought that the mystery side, both mysteries, were intriguing, and I loved following the characters. Once again, I love particularly Aunt Ginny. I just think her quirky craziness that she has in this series, Aunt Ginny, that is, really helps to offset from the seriousness of the mystery side, so I really do enjoy that. And in this particular book, Aunt Ginny has purchased herself an Alexa. You know, one of those, like, robot voice activator thingies. Yeah, What could go wrong with crazy Aunt Ginny having an Alexa? It is so hilarious. Oh my goodness. Alright, so yeah, I end up giving this book 4.5 stars. My only complaint, the only reason that I docked a 0.5 stars was the length. You guys, this book is 60 chapters long. 60. And it's a cozy. I mean, Libby Klein, I love your work. But for a cozy, it was so close to being a tome. It was 458 pages, which made it only 42 pages away from being 500 pages, and 500 pages plus in any book is a tome, which is kind of ridiculous for a cozy. So I docked for 4.5 stars because I felt the length towards the end. But otherwise, I really enjoyed it. 4.5 stars. The next book that I picked up yesterday, and that was this book, which is The Valley of the Lost by Emily Rodda. This is book number 7 and the second last book in the Del Toro Quest series. So very quickly, for those who don't know, the Del Toro Quest series is a middle grade fantasy series that revolves around 3 main characters. We have Leif, who is a prince who went through a coronation in book 1, where part of that ceremony involves being handed a belt known as the Belt of Del Toro. This belt is a magical belt that has 7 gemstones attached to it, forged by the magical beings of the land of Del Toro, but in this case, during his coronation ceremony, the belt is there, the strap is there, but the gems are missing. So each subsequent book, Leif is trying to locate all of the gems and reattach them to the belt, because meanwhile, an evil Shadow Lord has taken over Del Toro, and the only hope in heck to defeat this evil Shadow Lord is to find all 7 gemstones, reattach them, and then the true heir needs to wear the belt, and then they will be able, according to the prophecy, to defeat the evil Shadow Lord. I have loved this series so much so far, and had given every book up until this point 4 stars, because they are just so much fun. It might be middle grade, but that doesn't mean that it's not a fun series. Every time we get close to locating a gem, there's some sort of puzzle or complication that stands in the way before we can get the gem, and it's just so exciting. But this one, The Valley of the Lost, received 4.5 stars from me, because it is without a doubt my favourite book in the series. So in this one, it is the penultimate book in the series, the second last one, and we are hoping to track down the final gem. So our characters of Leif, his new friend Jasmine, and his former servant guy, whose name is Barder, or Barda, something like that. Anyway, it's narrated by an Englishman who says A instead of ER as an so I don't know if it's Barda or Barder, but anyway, the 3 of them, have been traveling in every single book to locate the gem, and once again they do so. They find themselves in the Valley of the Lost, and when they get there, they come face to face with the evil dude of the Valley of the Lost, and they have to solve so many riddles that the eruditeness in me just had such a fun time. Oh my gosh, it deserved the extra 0.5 stars. I highly recommend this series. They are all the books in the series are novellas. If you're listening to them as an audiobook, at 1x speed, they are 3-hour audiobooks. They are so fast and easy to get through, but that doesn't make them any less entertaining. They are so good. So 4.5 stars for that one from me. And then today, I had enough time to finish one more book. So let's put it up on the screen. That was this book, which is Return to Del. This is book number 8 in the Del Toro Quest series by Emily Rodda, the final book in that series. And I gave this book 4 stars. So with this one, now that we have procured all of the gemstones, Leif, Jasmine, and Barda need to make their way back to Del to take part in this big battle against their evil Shadow Lord. So that's what they do. I thought that it was good. I really enjoyed the lead up to the battle. I thought the battle was interesting. There was a little bit of a twist that I wasn't expecting that occurred, so I liked that. And then the ending seemed a little bit rushed for the conclusion of a series. I don't mind if you rush an ending if it's at the end of a book that's midway through a series, but if it's the final book in a series, it doesn't make sense to me. So I gave it 4 stars. Then I found out that there are actually 3 arcs to this series. There is the Del Toro Quest series, which is what I've just completed, the first 8 books. Then there is the Del Toro Quest 2 series, which has 3 books. And then there's the Del Toro Quest 3, so yeah. Del Toro Quest 1 series has 8 books. Del Toro Quest 2 series has 3 books. And then the Del Toro Quest 3 series has 4 books. And every single book in that series follows the same characters, which I appreciate because there are some series out there, no lie, there are series out there where in book 1 you have all these characters including protagonists and supporting characters, and then they're not in book 2. And that confuses me. Have you ever experienced that? Does it annoy you as much as it annoys me? Because it really annoys me. But the great thing about all 3 arcs is it does feature all of the characters we've grown to know and love. No surprise it's going on my 2023 SAS list, both Del Toro Quest Series 2 and Series 3, which brings my total SAS list at the moment to 29 series, which is way too many. And I'll see how I can cut that down. Alright. I've already gone on long enough, so I'm going to quickly discuss what I plan to read for the rest of this week, and that is just one singular book. I have read so many to this point, so many more than I thought, so I'm really going to allow myself to take my time with this one, and that is the latest release in the Poppy McAllister series. We'll put it up there. It is Antique Auctions Are Murder by Libby Klein. I'm really excited to get back into this world. As I say, I love following Poppy McAllister and her Aunt Ginny and everything else that's going on. I love this world, so I'm excited to get back to it. It's another long one. It's I think like 430 something pages, but I'm just going to take my time with it and really enjoy it. So, what books did you read this week, and what do you plan to read next week? Let me know in the comment section below. Now, before I do let you go, a very quick announcement. I am hosting a 2022 Christmas Watchathon. I hosted one last year and it was a whole lot of fun, so I'm bringing it back again this year. What we are going to do is we're going to select 24 Christmas themed films, and we'll pick 24 of them and watch one a day. So everyone over on Discord has been voting. If you would like to check out the list of the 24 films that we plan on watching for each day leading up to Christmas starting December 1, then link to my Discord is in the description. But in the meantime, it was a longer one. I apologize about that, but there was so much to say. I hope I said it quickly enough. Alright everyone, letting you all go with peace, blessings, and so much love. Please do be kind and love one another and spread your sparkling energy all throughout the world. And until next time, happy reading. Bye everyone.